Pope Benedict XVI has written about the critical importance of family and morality in creating a healthy and peaceful world. In one of your articles published in U.S. Catholic Magazine, you provide an inspiring vision for sanctifying the priesthood while at the same time creating the necessary conditions whereby priests would be able to provide leadership by example in cleaning up the sexual immorality in our society and culture. I want to ask you 3 questions about the bold vision you expressed in your article. First of all, please distinguish for us how sexuality in our culture has in many ways become cheapened and degraded, a form of gratification, with how God envisioned humanity to regard sexuality when He first created us.
It takes just a moment of looking at TV or movies, the magazine rack, the internet, to see that much of our society is messed up in understanding the purpose of sex. Sex is used to advertise products. Sex is used to cover up a lack of talent by some entertainers. There's so many problems we're aware of: adultery, swinging couples, pedophilia, pornography, prostitution, high divorce rate, spousal abuse. It seems like many people in our society haven't got a clue why we're made male and female. Sex is trivialized and demeaned, and I believe it was created to be a sacred union leading to union with God by husband and wife. Our church needs to proclaim that by example, not just with words. I like that statement by St. Francis, who told his followers, preach the gospel. If necessary, use words. He knew the power of example. And if we had a married clergy, we would have people who are living out the beauty of the sacrament of marriage, proclaiming that to all the people, that this is how God intended the rightful use of sex as a way of holiness.
So you're saying that given the leadership importance that a priest has, it should be the priest that's providing that example, not just the married parishioners.
Many priests should provide that example. You can't force marriage on anybody. A person
Right.
could be a priest and obviously feel called to celibacy, and that should be an option also.
Right.
But yes, if there were a number of leaders in the church who were witnessing to the dignity of human sexuality in the context of marriage, it'd be a great witness and say, this is what we believe. We want to proclaim this by word and example.
Now, you've stated that the church needs to do more than simply apologize and make amends, even enforce new laws for all priests who have sexually abused children. What must the church realize, in your opinion, before it can even begin to solve the root cause of the problem?
Well, the problem of pedophilia is not just a clergy problem, it's a society problem. Society needs examples again, not just words, examples of how to treat children in a wholesome way. And I think if priests were also fathers of families, there'd be a fine example of how children should be honored, respected, and cherished, and treated in a wholesome way.
In your view, why does mandatory celibacy make priests essentially unqualified to powerfully and effectively lead our culture and society away from the tragic consequences and snares of sexual immorality?
I try to talk about it. I talk about spirituality and marriage, and I'm sure there are those in the pews who say, what do you know, Father? You're not married. I do talk about chastity and reasons against premarital sex or extramarital sex. But if a married priest could proclaim by his life the positive side of sexuality, there's more to it than just abstinence.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I think the church needs to cover all bases in that.
Talk about the beauty and wonder of love and sex
Yeah.
within the family context.
Yes, God intended it.
The sacredness of that.
And why abstinence prepares you for that fulfilled role as a husband and wife.
We know from reading the book of Genesis that God blessed Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply. Is it possible the Catholic hierarchy is more invested in power and authority and preserving the status quo than fulfilling the very purpose of creation for which every human being was created?
Are they invested in power and the status quo? I think it's often perceived that way. But I honestly think many of them believe that you can impose celibacy and that makes for a better priest.
So they sincerely believe that.
Yeah, and I think it'd be like an interesting study to see if whether celibate priests in the Latin Rite are holier and more effective than married priests in the Eastern rites. Are celibate priests in the Latin Rite more effective than married Episcopal priests, married Protestant ministers, married rabbis? It'd be an interesting study, and my guess is the bottom line would be if they feel called to marriage or called to celibacy and then called to priesthood, they're effective.
Yeah.
But they got to be honest in where they're being called, because we're about doing God's will, and we're most effective when we're following the call and calls He has given us.